Alright, getting in some practice at the 2000 point level. So I took 4 wave serpents, 3 of them with troops in them, and 1 of them with striking scorpions. You can see them, they're unpainted back there. The bulk of the rest of the list is the same as what you've seen before. I took the striking scorpions mostly in order to have another outflanking unit. So I have the 2 hornets, and I have the wave serpent. I have Wraithguard in the other wave serpents, and I have a spirit seer to make them troops. And then the 8 warp spiders. And that's pretty much it. And the idea being is to come on strong on turn 2 out of reserve. Alright, here's my opponent's list. He went with White Scars and Grey Knight allies. So he's got an Inquisitor with some henchmen. They'll be in the Storm Raven. He's got 2 units, I think they're Interceptors, and then he's got Dread Knight drop pod with, I think that's an Ironclad in it, unit of attack bikes, and then a larger unit of bikes with a Tech Marine and the Chapter Master. Still no Apothecary though in here, and then he's got some scouts. Alright, here we are at deployment. I have 2 units of 3 jet bikes and the Wraith Knight over in the corner there. The Wraith Knight is standing on my Emperor's Will objective, playing the Bay Area open scenario with the Emperor's Will, and then the 2 tactical objectives, which we decided to place in the middle of the board there. Otherwise, I deployed my Autarch there and the 2 Wave Serpents with the Wraithguard in them, and I have a lot of stuff in reserve. The 2 Hornets, another Wave Serpent, and the Warp Spiders coming in. For his part, he has White Scars, so he gets to make a scout move, but he also got the Infiltrate Warlord trait, and so he infiltrated a couple of units as well. He deployed these guys on the line and then scouted them up 12 inches. Over in this ruin here, which he fortified, that's what the little bead is marking, that's a 3-up cover in there. Deployed his scouts into there, so they're right near that objective. The Dread Knight, he infiltrated up behind that ruin right there, and then his bikes, I think those made a scout move to get up there. No, they infiltrated right to that location right there, because they're about 18 inches away from that Wave Serpent. His Emperor's Will is behind this piece of terrain on the ground here. The statue is nothing, it's just a statue. We're not playing any special rules for it. That's pretty much it for deployment. He did not seize the initiative, and I think if you're not going to go first, then scouting up is not the best idea. Alright, here we are at the end of the top of turn 1. You can see that I reduced the numbers of the bike squad considerably and made it into close combat with them. I declared a challenge. Interestingly enough, because there are no other models in that unit there, all of his guys are actually attacking my Wraith Knight. The purpose of, or the point of challenging is just to make sure that my Wraith Knight's wounds are allocated to the Chapter Master and they can't be lookout starred away, which is an interesting point. I disembarked the Wraithguard there and shot at his Dread Knight. I Wave Serpent shot at the bikes and removed one of the bikes from there. All the rest of my shooting went into his Chapter Master's bike unit before I assaulted it. And that's it. And jet bike move pulled back my tan ones. Alright, here we are at the end of game turn 1. Bikes, they took 1 wound and failed the morale check. They didn't fall back too far, so I had to regroup them hopefully at the beginning of the next turn. The Thunder Hammer did hit in the previous turn, which dropped my Wraith Knight to initiative 1, but managed to not do too bad. I think the Chapter Master still has 1 wound on him on left, and my Wraith Knight has 3. He dropped in those guys. I think it was a shunt move. Yeah, I think it was their shunt move. I can't remember where they came from. I think they were hidden underneath the ruin in the middle there. They're the ones that shot up the bikes. They actually rolled really poorly, and my bikes rolled well to survive that. His drop pod came in here. Between the drop pod, the Dreadnought that came out, and the Dread Knight over there, I was reduced to just 2 Wraithguard, and the bikes shot at them as well. And luckily for me, they're fearless, and so they're just standing around. He did manage to activate force on both the Dread Knight and the, I think it's the Interceptor squad that came in case they would be assaulted. But otherwise, that's all the action that there was for this turn. I should point out that neither one of us achieved our first turn tactical objectives. Alright, this is the end of the top of turn 2. 100% of my reserves came on, and almost everything came on exactly where I wanted it as well. You can see the result of the close combat there. We both put enough wounds on each other to kill each other, and I made one of my invulnerables, and he failed. So I wiped that unit out. The Autarch actually assisted by charging in and putting his attacks on the other Marines that were involved in there, so there was just the Chapter Master left. Moved up with the Wraith Guard, shot the Dread Knight. I don't think I did anything with him, but over here, this Hornet came in and had a great angle on the Dread Knight, so took it out, and that tan Wave Serpent there actually ended up with no targets, and so he went flat out to get to the middle of the board. On the other side there, the Wraith Guard disembarked from the Serpent and shot at the Dreadnought and wrecked it. They just hauled it out. It didn't blow up or anything interesting like that. And the drop pod is still alive. War Spiders dropped in exactly where they were supposed to, and shot up that Interceptor squad, or whatever it was called. It was there. Between them and the jet bikes, which rallied and snap-fired, they didn't do anything. Between them, the other jet bikes, and the other Hornet, they easily took care of them. And then the Wave Serpent that came in the back corner, that's the one that has the Scorpions in it, took some shots at the scouts in the central ruin, and didn't do anything with the scatter laser, but the shield ate up 4 of them, so only the sergeant remains in there. Alright, this is the end of the bottom of turn 2. This is actually the end of the game as well. My reserves were so efficient, my shooting was so good, that he decided that unless he could take out about 500 points worth of models or so in this turn, that there wouldn't be much point in going on. His reserves came on, Storm Raven, Storm Talon escorting it, and managed to wreck that Wave Serpent, but it was already empty. Those Grey Knights dropped in right there and helped contribute to... Actually, they're the ones who took it out. I managed to successfully jink versus the Storm Raven, or Storm Talon, whichever one it was. And I managed to successfully jink over here. And then, it was Power of the Machine Spirit, I think, that he used to shoot at the tan Wave Serpent, but I successfully jinked versus that as well. So for those 3 units coming on, he managed to only make 2 of my units jink and then destroy 1. So that was it. He dropped his scout sergeant down to the bottom of the building there in order to hold that objective. That was one of his goals there. But he was well on his way to being tabled within the next turn or 2. So we called it there. So all in all, it's a pretty devastating victory for the Eldar.